What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nickel City Mafia, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. This is the Rush Hour Sunday edition. Joining me tonight is, my co-host all the time, Mr. Jake Podger, and also from the Go Bills podcast is Brett McDurphy. Joining us, it's been a while for Brett. Guys, I was bored a little bit today, so I used Chat GPT and I came up with some Top Gun call signs for each of you. So, Jake, yours is pretty easy. You are Podge. Podge, it fits, man. It's very cool. Podge, simple. Brett, I had a hard time with. First, Chat GPT said DERF. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So he is a new dad. So we came up with something called Mav Dad. Never without a pacifier in the cockpit. And that's Brett. Brett, talk to me. How's it going being a new dad? How's your little boy doing, man?
Man, the little boy is doing great. He's got a full head of hair on him, more hair than probably me. I mean, I look like Mel Kiper Jr. right now, trying to rock that long style hair and everything. But no, he's doing great. He's 2 months old now. He's loving life. He's smiling like crazy. And now he's starting to talk back, this is a good time when you have a kid that talks back, but doesn't talk back to you necessarily. So I'm loving him. He's doing great. And he's got the giggles like crazy. I mean, he thinks everything that daddy does is funny.
Oh.
And I'm just infatuated with being a father. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And if you ever have the chance to go through it, I know that Jake and Mike are both fathers, and so is Sean. But man, it's life-changing, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I feel so humble now and just, in a different world. I mean, it brought so many different perspectives to my life, and I couldn't imagine going through this right now.
That's awesome. That phase where the babies just laugh hysterically is so dang funny, man. Love that phase. Get some good video of that because just will crack you up all the time. Whenever you have a bad day, play that video and it'll put a smile and make you start laughing.
Listen, I'll tell you a quick story. I mean, we took my son over to Walmart for the first time. Now, I mean, this is crazy to even say it, but I had the best time of my life in Walmart with my son, just taking him in the shopping cart, and people were looking at me like, are you crazy? You're taking a 2-month-old into Walmart by yourself and, dealing with this. But I had my wife with me. She was in the clothes section trying to on clothes and everything. I said, honey, it's your time to just relax and everything. Got some groceries and everything. He's giggling the whole entire time. Got a little bit fussy for a couple minutes, and then he fell asleep. It was the greatest time of my life. We spent 2 hours in Walmart just having a little date session. It was really cool.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of those precious times.
Dude, that's fast. 2 months. Like, he's already smiling and laughing. That's really ahead of the game, honestly.
And he already rolled over, which is crazy. He rolled over at like 1.5 months, which is insane.
He's got a whole head of hair. He's laughing and giggling and smiling at 2 months. That's next level. You got yourself a genius on your hands, Brett.
Listen, he's smart. He knows where daddy is. He knows where mommy is. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for certain, but he kind of mumbled like mama already, which is cute. So he's talking like, and saying stuff and everything, making sounds and everything, cooing already, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I'm pretty sure he said mama. I don't want to say he did because I'm trying to hold out on that dad phase, but I'm pretty sure he said mama.
You got to brainwash him and just go da every chance you get. Yes.
You have no idea. I've been trying that for so long.
Yep.
Love it, Brett. And we're just happy to have you back tonight because you're going to give us some good input on, first of all, let me put this to bed and I'll go to you, Jake. Again, people are going to probably be mad at me at the thumbnail. Did Brandon Beane crush free agency this year? Is this the best free agency he's had to date? We'll answer that question. Did he crush it? No. So don't come in here and be all mad like, oh my God, is this guy high on something? No, I'm not. But I am high on the Buffalo Bills, and I am high on talking about them and getting to know some of these free agents that we signed. First of all, call sign, #Podge. How you doing, sir? How's your youngin' doing?
He's doing good. He's doing real good, Mike. Yeah, likewise. Laughing, giggling, smiling at everything. So life is good. Got him in a 4-point stance a few times. He's starting to kind of hold himself up a little bit. We're doing snap count drills, doing everything. You name it. He loves it. anytime I do a cadence at the kid, he smiles and laughs, so he's ready to go.
So funny.
Threw a couple flags on him for neutral zone infraction here and there, but he's got to learn, so it's good. Everything is going well.
All right, and sister and brother getting along well?
Oh yeah, she's great with them. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a beautiful thing to see.
That's awesome, man.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, tomorrow.
A little early,
guys,
but yeah,
Mike especially.
Yeah, a little early.
And
but
Brett, you got to have some Irish in you too, right? McDurphy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Half Irish, man.
Yeah.
Jake, you got any big plans for? I know it's a big thing in Buffalo, man.
It's huge. So the parade already happened. So yesterday was the first ward parade. That's like the OG one in South Buffalo, right? I used to go to that. My brother-in-law, his whole family did it. They have a big float and everything, and they do it every year. I didn't go this past year. I didn't go this year, and really didn't do anything, honestly, for St. Patty's Day. St. Patrick's Day hitting a little different these days with two, kids 3 and under here. So, didn't do anything, Mike, to be honest. Celebrated my mother-in-law's birthday. Turned 60 on Friday. So shout out to her. Yes.
Let's go. What's her name?
Pam. We call her Grammy Pammy.
Happy birthday, Grammy Pammy. Love it.
There we go. I'm going to clip it and send it to her.
All right. And we got Chad jumping in there. Hey, Chad, good to see you out there. Thank you for joining us Sunday night. You working or are you off tonight? And then we got John Robert coming in. He says he thinks you went to Walmart to buy a Bills outfit. However, in Florida, I don't think you're going to find any Bills gear. You're going to have to order that. You're not going to find it at Walmart, especially. But you'll have to order that for sure.
There's a couple places down here that have Bills gear. I mean, like onesies and stuff like that. There's a little pizza place that I go to that was near my old house, and they had a ton of onesies and stuff like that too. It's really cool, and make their own little Etsy type style jerseys and stuff like that for the kids. It's cool.
All right, cool deal. We'll make sure you get some and get some pictures for us. And Weston coming in saying, no. Like, he makes me relive last year's draft. I'm looking forward to this year's draft. Nothing's going to surprise me this year, guys. I'm just over it. I'm ready. Nothing will surprise me.
You say that now, Mike. You say that now. You just wait.
I know. It was funny last year. We had some people have to jump off cam for a little bit because they were so mad. Love it. John Roberts saying, what is hair? He's like,
I love that, John.
And let's see, John Robert. Brandon was graded a B to an A-. Okay. All right, cool. What we're going to see. And I don't know if that's true. And John, I want you to know, I'm asking this question early. For those that are out there in the chat, I'll ask it again later. Is this his best free agency to date? Do you think so? All right. And then Chad, you're off. Good. Glad you can sit and just enjoy things. And let's see here. Weston, Chad Mizzou is playing. Oh, he's just talking to chat. All right. By the way, guys, you're gonna be mad at me. My hashtag, my call sign for Top Gun is probably the coolest. It's Thor. When your last name starts with THOR, Chat GPT throws out Thor. All right. So call sign Thor. If Sean was on tonight, he got call sign Cooler with a K. Nobody cooler than John Cooler. Right. We always say that. All right. So listen, guys, let's get into the free agents. Let's get to meet some of our new guys. And I'm excited to have both of you on here because I'm sure you'll have different takes. Well, let's kick it off on, we're going to go in chronological order. Let's kick it off on the 13th. The Buffalo Bills signed Derek Forrest, safety from the Commanders, 1-year deal, $1.3 million, only guaranteed for $165K. And I'll start with, since we haven't seen him in a while, Mavdad. We're going to use call signs tonight. Mavdad, talk to me about this pick. I mean, obviously, we got Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp. They're going to be holding down the fort. We re-signed DeMar Hamlin, which we can talk about later. We re-signed him. We bring in another safety. Talk to me about Derek Forrest. I don't know a whole lot about him other than he's been with the Commanders for, I think, 4 years or so. But what's your thoughts on him? First of all, I'm going to ask every one of you, love it, like it, or hate it? And then give your reason.
So I'm going to start off with, I don't love it, don't hate it. I'm kind of like in between. I'm kind of like trying to figure out who Derek Forrest is, to be honest with you. I know Jake, he knows everybody in the game. He's been studying this kid since back when he was in preschool and everything. And he knows all about him. But listen, the biggest thing about Derek Forrest is that he came from the Commanders. It's a 1-year deal. It's kind of a depth piece for the Buffalo Bills. I think that especially with Cam Lewis in place, I know a lot of people on the channel don't love Cam Lewis, but I felt like he had a pretty good year and he shows some versatility to him. This is more of a training camp type style pick here. You mentioned that he only has 160 something thousand guaranteed on his deal. So if the Bills cut him, it doesn't really affect the salary cap whatsoever. But if it works out, like John Roberts mentioning 4.43 speed here, he also is only 25 years old. He's played a couple of good seasons, as Jake has mentioned in our group chat. Played a couple of good seasons with the Commanders, and this could be a gem that blossoms in Buffalo. You know what Sean McDermott does with defensive backs. You look back to 2017 all the way to now. He's made guys like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde into big names. Maybe this could be the next case for the Buffalo Bills and Derek Forrest.
Thank you, Brett. What do you think, Jake? Love it, like it, or hate it?
I like it. I think you got him at a good, ripe age. I mean, this guy came off a season, back in 2022 where he had 88 tackles, 4 interceptions, looked like a quality starter for the Commanders. So, the tape is there. I mean, he looked good in that season that he did start for the Commanders, and it looked like he was in line to start again in 2023. Got injured, sort of fell out of favor with Dan Quinn and co, and, sort of fell off after that. So, Ron Rivera really, really liked him initially. And his 2022 season, it showed. A lot of people saying even that he might be the best safety on our roster right now. And people just don't know it yet. Wow. Yeah. I mean, this kid has the potential to be somebody special. I think the price that you get him at, only a little over $1 million a year, is incredible, especially with the safety market being the way it is nowadays for younger guys. And I know this guy had 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries, but, also I think just the fact that he's only 25 years old, the fact that he has started a year and he had pretty good stats and the tape showed that he could play in this league, I think is something to be noted. So I like the signing. I think it was a good move. I just hope it doesn't turn into another Mike Edwards situation, because we were so excited last year with Mike Edwards coming in. We're like, man, this guy's going to compete for a starting job. Might be that third safety and dime or whatever it may be. We'll get him on the field one way or the other, essentially acting like Taylor Rapp did his first year. And that just never came to fruition. So I'm curious to see what they do with Derek Forrest, but I like the signing.
This reminds me a lot of what Buffalo had before when they had Siren Neal. Maybe this is somebody that can play that big nickel type role for the Bills. We've been missing that for a few seasons now. Maybe you lose a couple of plays with Taron Johnson out there on the field and you bring in a big nickel and put in Derek Forrest in those situations. I guarantee you he'll have a big role on special teams though too.
Dude, he's a great tackler too. I think there's been a clip going around of him that kind of went viral, and it's a play against the Jacksonville Jaguars where he comes out and he freaking just smokes this guy and jars the ball loose, and it's like this is an example of what you're getting with this guy. So and I know it's only one play, but it does excite me seeing stuff like that. He's a 5th round pick, played, at Cincinnati before that in college. And I think this guy's got some years left in him in the NFL and could be a quality starter again.
I love it. And I think John Robert nailed it here. It's basically, look, Taylor Rapp, I don't know how many games he'll play. He hasn't been able to play a full season, and he seems to get dinged up quite a bit. So you got some backup here. By the way, anyone saying cut Cam needs to have their mouth washed out with soap. I'm just saying that right now. Stop saying that. Cam has been playing a pretty important role for us because he does special teams. He can play corner if you needed him, if you were pressed for it, and he can play safety if you really needed it. So love his versatility. All right, guys, I love that. So good stuff, because I really didn't know a lot about him. I knew he was with the Commanders, but I love what you guys are saying. I love what John Roberts saying. I love that you liked it. So let's move on. So this one's a strange one to me, but I'll throw it out there for you. So the next signing was Darrington Evans. 1 year, $1.2 million. And guess what? He's only guaranteed $15K. So this is an odd one for me. It's kind of his third. I guess he's been on either our practice squad or he's been on our camp. At least this will be his 3rd stint with us, which is interesting. So let me start with Podge. Why are we bringing this man back? What's going on here?
Yeah, he always seems to show a little bit of spark in the preseason. I mean, you look at the one run he had last year, I think it was against the Bears, where he broke off 3 different tackles and scores a touchdown. I mean, he has the burst. He was a 3rd-round pick back in, I think, 2020 or something like that, with the Titans out of App State. And, I think this kid can play in the league, and he's bounced around from team to team, and he's been with the Bills in camp 3 straight years in a row for a reason. So might just be a camp body again, just to give some competition to the other backs. Could be something more. I know a lot of people are joking about the fact that we've signed every other running back but James Cook. And James Cook is on the roster still. It's just people are expecting an extension to happen, and it has not happened. So, people are thinking maybe he'll be leaving the Buffalo Bills sooner rather than later. So I don't know if it's any indication of that by signing Darrington Evans and then also re-signing Ty Johnson. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is a good insurance policy and a guy that has bounced around and been on our practice squad and been on our preseason roster. So no surprises really to me that we brought him back. I think people make a big stink about it just because it is the running back position. But Darrington Evans, quality player, good camp guy, not going to be your starting back or anything like that, but does offer return value too. So
all right, so
that's about what I got on him.
So you like it. You don't love it. You don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. If there's a neutral feeling, I guess it would be like, I don't even know if that's not really neutral. I would say it's more neutral. I hate to go back to what Brett's response was on the very first one there, but I don't love it. I don't hate it.
Would you say like the middle being maybe a little bit hesitant on it?
Not hesitant. I think it's, if he plays really well, it's low risk, high reward, right? I mean, $15K guaranteed. I mean, he's getting a weekly stipend more or less with us. So yeah, I'm all right with it.
All right, well, let me throw it to you, Mr. Mav Dad. What's your thoughts on Mr. Darrington Evans?
So I kind of had to do a little bit of research on this pick because I know Jake is going to come in hot with all his style and everything, and I'm not trying to battle him whatsoever when I'm talking about this. He's doing a fantastic job. But I have to hit him with a little bit of knowledge here, okay? The 2025 season is going to be a little bit different for the special teams role. You have the kickoff moving back from for touchbacks to the 35-yard line. Could this be an example of what the Bills are trying to do on the kickoff returns? Maybe they think that Darrington Evans can play that kickoff specialist role. That's where I think that he could find a spot on the 53-man roster. But I do think that this is also a move for the Buffalo Bills on their practice squad, because if Frank Gore gets poached by another team, you add in Darrington Evans, who has familiarity with the team and can find a way to be one of the 16 players on the roster for the practice squad. So I like it. I think that it's a good move. It gives you a little bit of insurance in case Frank Gore finds a role on another team. And I should say Frank Gore Jr., by the way, finding a role on another team. Maybe he finds a way on a 53-man roster for some other team, but I like this move. And if the Bills find another running back in the draft, maybe you do move on from James Cook, because I know that one of the things that Brandon Beane hates is when players go on social media and they start chirping about their contracts. Maybe this is the time where you trade James Cook when his value is high.
Yeah, I mean, there's
not to go away from this. I just want to bring something up, and I know a lot of people have been speculating today. But speaking of social media drama, Steph Diggs just reactivated several pictures on Instagram. A majority of them being of him in a Buffalo Bills uniform. So people are speculating that there may be a return in the future. I don't want to start anything, but interesting.
Cody's out there in the chat. What do you think, Cody? Have you heard that? Steph Diggs. Would he come back?
And it could just be nothing. You know, he does this all the time. Yeah.
If we could get Steph for a reasonable deal, you're bringing him back, channel? Talk to me. By the way, Brett, I didn't know. I mean, look, last year when they introduced the new kickoff rule, the initial when they submitted it was to touchbacks to go to the 35-yard line.
Right.
And so I didn't know they made has that been a rule shift? Is that confirmed? They're going to go to the 35?
This is confirmed that the kickoff is going to be moved to the 35-yard line. I think it's better for the game. We see a lot of times where Tyler Bassey has a big leg and he kicks it down to the, for a touchback. I want to see a little bit more excitement back in the game. I want to see somebody like a Devin Hester who's on the verge of being into the Hall of Fame. I want to see somebody like him or a Jacoby Jones, rest in peace for him. But I want to see somebody like him.
Terrence McGee.
Terrence McGee. I mean, Leota Kelvin, somebody like that. I want to see that next player have a great role on special teams. We're missing that part of the game. It's not.
Well, here's the thing.
It's not boring.
Here's my rebuttal to you, Brett. We have our next Terrence McGee and Brandon Codrington.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. But I do like what you said about Darrington Evans. I think adding another returner back there, I mean, a guy, especially like a running back, bigger build, that's always a good thing to have, you know? So the fact that he offers a return value, he knows the system already. He's a true veteran. He's been in the league for 5 years for a reason. You know, I mean, there's an opportunity for him to potentially, you know, at least be on the practice squad for us. And like you said, good point about Frank Gore Jr. can be poached and maybe picked up on an active roster. I'm not sure if he's ready yet or if he's there, but there's an opportunity for him for sure.
But there's definitely teams that are looking for running backs right now. You know, I'm looking into like the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, a team that Frank Gore played for. Maybe they decide that they need somebody that can be an insurance policy to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So I love that about the rule change because that's what it was intended to be to start. I wish they would have done that last year because I was expecting a lot of big things, a lot of cool things to happen on the kickoffs. That's what the change was meant to bring. And people just said, you know what, all the NFL teams said, you know what, we'll let them start at the 30-yard line. Why bother? Just kick it in the end zone. That extra 5 yards, I think, will make a difference, a big difference. So anyhow, cool stuff. I'm glad you guys both like Evans coming in. I think he's cut before, you know, not too far into camp. Maybe. I don't think he stays with us. But third stint's a charm. We'll see. So again, it was kind of a slow start for the Bills. I mean, you're like, man, what are we not doing? I mean, we gonna do anything? So finally, something happens, and that's Josh Palmer gets signed on the for a 3-year, $36 million, $18 million guaranteed from the Chargers. And first of all, I want to apologize, Jake. When you and I did our last show, for some reason, I don't know, I got some bad information from my sources saying we had about 20 million. I'm expecting us to be on a budget. I don't know what Beane did, but he found lots more money, and he's all of a sudden making this big move here. I'll start with you, Hodge, and you tell me about Josh Palmer, because you did mention him. Of all the guys we talked about on that show, potential targets, this was the only guy that was mentioned. I feel bad. We didn't hit any of our targets, but I didn't realize we had more money than we did. So, Josh Palmer, you mentioned him. Talk to me about Josh. Love it, like it, hate it.
The bad part, I like it. I think the bad part is, you know, I didn't really elaborate on him too much. I just said, you know, he's not a speed demon by any means, but he does find a way to get separation more or less. And he's a big body guy who can make some acrobatic catches here and there. So he's not Keon Coleman. So don't get it twisted there. He's totally different than Keon Coleman. I think a better refined route runner and definitely a guy that is able to actually stretch the field. I think what really stuck out to me is just what he has done against the Kansas City Chiefs in his career, especially against a guy like Trent McDuffie, who actually this past year, you know, he didn't put up insane numbers or anything like that, but I felt like his reps against McDuffie were solid, strong reps. And that's what you like to see out of a guy like that, because ain't no one getting open on Trent McDuffie. And we proved that this year against him. The only guy that was able to do so was none other than Mac Hollins, who Josh Palmer, I guess, is replacing, right? So, yeah, I like the Palmer signing. Definitely caught me off guard a little bit. I didn't really expect it. And then you see the figures, 3 years, 36 million, but it's only 18 guaranteed. And I think people get so wrapped up in like, holy cow, 36 million for 3 years. That's $12 million a season. Sure, that's the average value per season if he maxes out and makes that 36 million over the course of his career here as a Buffalo Bill. But that is essentially that number, that 36 million is the max amount of money they will make with the team. So I think people see that number initially and they're like, what? We paid this guy that much? But you got to remember, first off, the receiver market is so inflated. Gabe Davis got $13 million a year on average last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. you look at some of these other contracts that have been signed, even in the past. I think MVS even got a ton of money when he signed with Kansas City initially. That was, double-digit figures too. So you got to remember, the receiver market already is super inflated. Secondly, what I like from Josh Palmer is the fact that he's only 25 years old. He is a true separator. He is an X receiver. He is an outside receiver that can work the boundary, that can run 9 routes, that can run and catch passes across the middle. He could pretty much run every route in the route tree. What I did like too was the yards per catch. I know a few seasons ago it wasn't much, but the last 2 years it's been 14, 15 yards a catch. So he's getting a first down and then some every time he catches the football. I think, when you look at what he did in 2023, it was on pace to be a 1,000-yard season before he had a season-ending injury. So there's a lot of good to see in the Josh Palmer signing. Again, wasn't really on my bingo card, but the more and more I look into it, the more and more I see him as a player in this offense, it is essentially an upgrade from Mac Hollins, right? Because that was going to be your other guy. I don't think there was any chance in hell we were going to re-sign Amari Cooper. I just don't feel like that's going to be the case because his market is even higher than what Josh Palmer's is. And honestly, I get it, like Amari Cooper is, in a different type of category, but are you bringing Amari Cooper back on a $15 million deal? Or are you going to take Josh Palmer at a cheaper deal at 25 years old with maybe a higher upside? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I like the signing.
Yeah. Before I throw it to Mav Dad over here, I'm going to say I like it as well. Now, look, you mentioned him, and again, because I thought we didn't have enough money, what we paid him was what market was going to be. So I shied away from him because I'm like, there's no way we're going to have money to bring him on. But we did, and look, by the way, Mac Hollins, I am really disappointed that we didn't get him back. I mean, he goes to the Patriots for a pretty reasonable price, and I do agree with you. He is the replacement for him. He is good size, 6'1", maybe 6'2" on a good day, over 200 pounds, and he's younger, and he's a great separator. And a younger version of Mac Hollins. I do miss Mac, though. I miss Mac for what he brought to the chemistry of the receiving group. Rah guy, just a cool dude. Definitely wish him the best. I hate that he went to the Patriots, man. Come on. Gotta take that.
Well, he's also, here's the thing too. Palmer's also 6 years younger than Mac Hollins. So there's that too. But yeah, I agree, Mike. It does sting a little bit. Of all teams to go to, you go to New England. Yeah. Does he even look happy to be there? I feel like in his press conference, he just didn't even seem.
Yeah. Did you see him walk in barefooted? He's
I did.
Like, where do you guys want me to sit? You want me to stand? Want me to sit? And they're like, it's up to you. And he sits down. I saw the comments like, he doesn't look very happy. Well, he should be happy. He's the one who took the deal. And he got the money that he was looking for. I wonder if the Bills had a conversation or they just were like, nah, we're going to, once we went for Palmer, we weren't going to be signing Mac back. So interesting.
Right.
All right, Brett, you're next, sir. So Jake liked it. I liked it. And what's your thoughts on this move here?
So I'm going to play the devil's advocate on this card. I'm going to say I'm neutral on it because there's things that I like about Josh Palmer, which is the ability to be that X player on the Buffalo Bills. I think that he's going to fit in very well with Josh Allen, especially when he rolls out to his right. I think he's going to find some space and he's going to get open. But on the other hand, I feel like it's a missing piece for the Buffalo Bills too. You mentioned Mac Hollins and what he brought to the Buffalo Bills. He's more of a complete wide receiver where he did the dirty things, where he helped out in the run game, especially his blocking. That's where I'm kind of concerned about this pick. What are the Bills going to do now in the running game with their wide receivers? Is it going to be Keon Coleman that's going to be that blocking player? I have some concerns about his blocking ability, especially over the last year, what he's done. Also, for me, how is he going to fit in on those run plays? Is he going to sell the plays very well? I'm concerned about that too. And can he stay healthy? That's the other thing. This is a very high risk, high reward type style signing for the Buffalo Bills. I'm concerned that if he can stay healthy for 17 games, I think the Bills have to find somebody in the draft, especially later in the draft, to be a complement to this pick, especially somebody that can block. That's what I'm really concerned about. Maybe they find somebody in the second or third round that can. That's one of the top rated blocking wide receivers in the draft. But I kind of don't like this pick, to be honest with you.
Okay.
He hasn't shown a lot, too. I know there's a lot of upside with his age and everything, but I would have wanted more of a proven wide receiver for Josh Allen. I think he deserves that, too.
That's fair. That's a fair statement, Brett.
I'm going to get rid of the hate because I always say I don't like the word. So we'll say disliked. You disliked it. Jake liked it. I liked it. But you bring up a great point. Mac, and it was just another reason why I love Matt Collins. He did everything asked of him. Didn't seem to have a problem. And my goodness, when there was a play needed, the dude would get open somehow, some way he'd get open. And in that catch that he made in the championship game, was it that game? I think it was right before half. He made that amazing catch. But he always seemed to be open for a big play. He'd get 2 targets a game, 3 targets a game at the most. But I'll tell you what, man, usually those were completed and they came on big downs. So gonna miss him. I guess we're looking for, again, that separation. If everything holds to be true, what everyone's saying, he can separate. I see it in the channel. This could bring some exciting times for Josh Allen on the big plays. But I hear you, Brett. It is going to be interesting on how, who's that blocking receiver now?
Yeah.
Who is the guy? Who is
I think one of the other things that concerns me about this is Matt Collins just fit into Buffalo. I mean, look at what he did. He didn't utilize utensils. He also was barefoot. That's just what Buffalo is all about. He's just kind of like that blue collar guy, just shows up for work and does everything that you ask from him and doesn't want anything in return. I would have loved to have re-signed Matt Collins. I felt like, deeply saddened to see him go to the Patriots. Don't get me wrong, but I think there should have been a way that Mac returned to Buffalo. And we are going to talk about some guys that were re-signed by the Buffalo Bills that, I was happy about getting them re-signed. But I think that Matt Collins is going to be one of those pieces that you're going to be disappointed in a few years when you see him on the Patriots and see what he does with Drake May. I think his numbers are going to go up too.
Just doesn't feel right. The ending doesn't feel right.
This is a good point by Cody. So he had a past connection with McDaniels and in Vegas, and his best game of his career against Vrabel. So maybe that connection's what's drawing him over there. But best of luck to him. Love the guy. That would have been. I almost bought the dude's jersey. Almost. Glad I didn't. John Roberts saying Matthew Golden. You
and me both, John. Let's go.
Yeah, this would be a first rounder, John. I'm feeling like I want a Kenneth Grant. I want a big defensive tackle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There.
I don't know. Golden's interesting. Would love
but if Golden's at 30, I'm probably running to the podium to grab him.
It's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough.
There ain't no way. You can't pass that up. No way.
Don says, Allen brings the best out of receivers. For sure. That whole offense last year just brought the best out of everybody. It's only going to get better. Coleman's another year in, and expect bigger things from him. Well, let's see here. Holland's getting the same contract as Ashton Dolan is criminal. And what do you think about that one, Jake? I don't even know who Ashton Dolan is, to be honest.
Ashton Dolan, baby.
For
the Colts, Ashton Dolan. Solid player. Not your household name by any means, but interesting stuff there, Cody.
Yeah, there's a guy I want right there, Weston Kenneth Grant,
absolute stud.
Let's go.
Yeah, that is definitely the guy. Like if you're talking about the guy that we truly feel like might land at 30 that we need to take, I feel like that has been the general consensus for us on this channel is Kenneth Grant.
I think we're gonna have to move up, Jake. Would you move up for him? And how far?
I would. Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah. I have seen things where he's like a top 20 pick, and very well could happen. Puka's saying Palmer is not a Matt Collins replacement. You're right. No one can replace Matt Collins. But if you're talking strictly based on the position he will be playing, it does appear that Palmer will be playing that outside X position right now. And it's actually, I mean, if you go to our lads too, they are listed at literally the same position. It's crazy because Mac, although Amari Cooper is the more touted player, Mac Hollins actually started the games last year. So pretty interesting stuff, to say the least.
For sure. All right, well, let's move on. So this one definitely turned my head when I heard this one. I'm like, okay, so far, you got Forrest, you got Evans, Palmer. I'm like, okay, I saw a lot of things on Palmer. I'm like, okay, potential there. This one turned my head. A gentleman that I did not think we'd have a shot at. And if we did sign him, I thought it would be for a multi-year deal, big money. But Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa. 1 year, 12.6 million, 12 million guaranteed. And obviously, the first thing most people think, oh man, he's injury prone, which is true. But all the other big guns were gone. You know, Myles Garrett was gone. What was it?
Crosby.
Crosby was gone. And there were others that were Hendrickson. I believe, did Hendrickson resign with the Bengals, or is he still out there?
No, the asking price was astronomical for him. So I think that everybody was out on Trey Hendrickson.
All right. But Joey Bosa. All right. First of all, I'm going to say love it. And why do I love it? Not because, I'm going to let you guys do most of this, but this one I love. And yes, you can be concerned about the injuries, but the dude's a stud. He's going to be highly motivated. It's a 1-year deal. If he wants to get paid big money going forward, he's still, what is he, Jake? Coming in, going to be 30 this year or 29? I forget.
Yeah, I think he's 30 right now, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
So 30 years old, definitely younger than when we signed what do you want to call it, Vaughn. And so I love it. He's a great player when he's healthy, and that's the key, when he's healthy. And I think because of the 1-year deal, he's going to be highly motivated to keep his body as well as he can. And I don't think I don't know. I saw in his press conference, he wants to start and wants to be on the field a lot of time. But you know how the Bills like to rotate, and I think that will help him to some degree, keep him healthier if we do that. And with all the signings that we've done, I believe that's the intent. Sure, he'll start, but not I don't know what if when he was healthy, I don't know how many snaps, what percentage he was playing for the Chargers. Maybe in his last few years it was less. But again, love this pick, Jake. This is a game changer. This is a guy that could close it out if we can keep him on the field. Let me throw it to you first for your thoughts.
That's just it, right? I mean, if he can be on the field, right? So, I mean, you almost have to hold your excitement because this guy has not had a healthy season since 2021. With that being said, when he is healthy and on the field, he is a game wrecker. He is a difference maker. Now, the stats really haven't followed. And last year, I believe he played the most games he's played since 2021. He played in 14 total games last year. Only registered 5 sacks. So the numbers aren't like, wow, this is crazy. Also playing alongside of Khalil Mack, you think like maybe the numbers would be better. But to me, I still feel like Bosa's got something left in the tank. He is going to be the starting defensive end for us out alongside of Greg Rousseau. And I'm hoping that it does help Greg Rousseau out in the long run here. I think Bosa is a medium risk, high reward. Again, I think people look at the contract, they see that 12 million guaranteed, and they're like, what the hell? That's a lot of money. It's only 1 season. This is not Von Miller 2.0 where we signed a multi-year contract for over $100-something million. This is a 1-year deal, essentially a prove-it deal for us to go get it done and to add some pass rush, especially when it comes on late in the season, right? So I think it's a good fit. Obviously, proceed with caution with the injuries, but I like that we actually swung for the fences a little bit on this one. We didn't just go out and sign a Malcolm Kuntz, who, listen, all respect in the world. But by the way, Malcolm Kuntz got 1 year, $12 million with the Raiders. So he re-signed back with the Raiders for that much money. If you're looking at Malcolm Kuntz or Joey Bosa, I think I'd take Joey Bosa over Malcolm Kuntz. And this is me being a UB guy and a Maction lover, right? So I like the move. I am cautiously optimistic. You have to align your expectations, but I think my expectations are set a little high here. So I'm ready. I'm ready to see standout Joey Bosa. And if he even does just play the role of pass rush specialist, if that guy goes and gets me 21 tackles and 10 sacks, I'm okay with that. Play the role of Dwight Freeney. Go out there, only register, as many tackles as you do sacks. That's totally fine. You're a difference maker. So let's roll.
All right, love it. Let's go to Brett. What's your thoughts on this one, Brett?
So initially, when the Joey Bosa news came out, before this pick, the Bills signed another defensive end in Michael Hoyt prior to getting Joey Bosa. So before it, I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, oh man, we got Michael Hoyt. Not a big name. He made a lot of tackles in with the Rams, and I'm thinking that okay, if this guy's going to be the starter for the Buffalo Bills, I'm a little bit concerned because now you have a rotation of Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, and Michael Hoyt. Then they go out and they get Joey Bosa. This is a closer. This is a finisher. This is what Von Miller is supposed to be. This is what we wanted him to be 3 years ago when we signed him. You bring him in. He's going to be a rotational guy. You have Rousseau. Epinesa is going to be that third or fourth defensive end. Hoyt's going to be suspended for 6 games. This is a great 3-headed tandem for the Buffalo Bills. You can plug and play, and then you add into the mix. Maybe we get Javon Sullivan into the games a little bit more. I know that Jake would love to see him in the games too. But this is going to make each of the guys around Joey Bosa better. I'm talking about Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver, who needs that guy on the outside that can take a little bit of pressure off of him. Somebody that demands the two offensive players defending him. I love this pick. I think it's a great move. I didn't imagine that for $12.6 million that we could get Joey Bosa. I thought that he was going to go into the $20 million range, to be honest with you, just because of the name and what his brother has done in the NFL. I didn't necessarily think whatsoever that the Buffalo Bills were going to get Joey Bosa on a 1-year deal. I felt like he was going to the 49ers or he was going to re-sign with the Chargers. But to get him is incredible, and I feel like this is going to be a move that's going to make guys around him so much better. Maybe we could see another 10-sack season from each of the defensive linemen on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, maybe played that Leonard Floyd role from a few years ago. So love it. So you're in the love category. You love the pick.
I love the pick. And Mike, what I was mentioning before is in 2015 we had Mario Williams, Kyle Williams, as well as Marcel Darius, and I'm trying to remember who, Jerry Hughes. Mm-hmm. Each of them had 10 sacks that season. It was the year that we had Jim Schwartz as our defensive coordinator. Maybe Sean McDermott's going to bring that blitz type mentality, and you're going to see more sacks for the Buffalo Bills. I think that's a category that we need to improve on. We didn't have a lot of sacks last year, and I think we're going to see a bigger number of sacks this year.
All right, I love it. Let's hope for that. Puka, are you like being sarcastic? Like, please, he's not going to get it, or yes, please bring 10 sacks.
I know I'm having a hard time reading it today.
I know.
Listen, right, I love you though. Thank you for coming in with the comments.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Nonetheless, we need a 10-sack DN. I 100% agree. I mean, Leonard Floyd did it. I forgot about it when Brett was in the comments chirping me about it. But, I mean, before Leonard Floyd did it, we didn't have a 10-sack D end other than that 2014 season, unless you want to count Lorenzo Alexander, who was more of like an outside linebacker, like stand-up outside linebacker guy. But we need something like that, man. Like, we're overdue, you know?
We need somebody that, over the past 3 years, I've been saying it and chirping it to people. We needed somebody that was feared on the outside. We haven't had that guy that's feared. We had some good players. You know, Greg Rousseau is a good player. He's a good, solid player, but he hasn't blossomed into that guy that you really fear. Now you add in Joey Bosa, who is a hot commodity. He's somebody that you have to, put your eyes on him every single time. That right tackle or left tackle, whoever's he's going to be going up against, has to fear him. We really haven't had that guy. Greg Rousseau has shined in certain moments, but we need somebody that every single snap you have to worry about.
Totally agree. All right, let's move on. Joey Bosa, definitely a head turner. Like, oh wow, okay, big deal here. I'm loving it. Then we, and again, Brett, I'm bringing these guys in. They were talk about. I'm going in chronological order of when they were signed.
Gotcha.
They were signed. So that's why, you brought up Hoyt. We're going to talk about Hoyt because we got some big things to talk about Hoyt and Ogunjobi and talk about both those guys. But before those two, we got Laviska Shenault Jr., wide receiver, coming over from Seattle, I believe was his last year. No, Chargers. We focused on a lot of Chargers. He played
both. I think he was with both teams last year.
Seattle and the Chargers. This dude, I gotta tell you, I don't know a lot about him, but when I see 6'1", 224, that kind of excites me. But I'll start with you, Jake, because you are the encyclopedia of knowledge. What can you tell us about this young man? By the way, 1 year undisclosed. I haven't found anywhere that's talked about money, but it's got to be on the cheap for sure. But talk to me about this young man.
I loved Laviska Shenault coming out of the draft. I was such a big fan. Like, I wanted Buffalo to get a guy like that initially. Now, 5 years later, I'm not as excited. The fuel is sort of run out of the tank for the guy. I don't know if he offers anything other than just a special teamer, and as that of a return man. I think he is a poor man's Cordero Patterson at best right now. Kind of similar size actually too. Funny that I mentioned that. A little bit shorter, but I'll tell you what, I loved Laviska Shenault so much. I felt like he was going to go off and be a 1,200-yard receiver in Jacksonville. I took him in all my dynasty leagues, Cody. You'll love this. And I banked on him being something special, and it just never seemed to pan out. And that could be partially due in part due to the culture there in Jacksonville. I mean, it was kind of rough. But, I was a little confused on this one, kind of shaking my head a little bit. I mean, you talk about bringing Darrington Evans back as a potential return guy. Now you have this guy, and by the way, Braden Codrington and Daquan Hardy, who was injured last year too, who's a great returner at the cornerback position too. It's weird to me. And it could just be a camp body. It might not be anything special. Curious to see what actually happens with him. I like Laviska Shenault. I just don't really understand the signing of it.
Yeah.
And again, it could just be a camp body. Who knows?
Yeah, most likely. He did have the 10th most return yards last season with 459 yards with a 97-yarder coming against the 49ers. So, again, like you said, I feel like we've already locked in our returner here. So maybe special teams guy. I don't know. But big dude. I don't know what kind of speed he brings, but interesting signing there.
Better game speed than 40 speed. If you look at his 40, I think he only ran like mid 4.5s.
Okay.
And kind of similar, actually. Josh Palmer, again, 4.5 40 guy, but better game speed than 40 time. So, but yeah, Shenault, just a return guy, in my opinion. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I mean, obviously in his career now, he's kind of that return guy. I think that he would be really good to be mixed in with whoever's going to be the returner for the Buffalo Bills this season. I think it's going to be Codrington, but give him some mix in preseason, see how he does, and if he can catch on with Josh Allen and get some good snaps of him, I think that this is a great move. It's a low risk, high reward type style pick, and maybe it's a guy that can develop a rapport with Josh Allen and can be that number 6 wide receiver on your team.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So we kind of all liked it. We'll like it. Put it in the like category. Or, if we had, I wish I should have thrown a fourth one in there, like head scratcher. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into two of the more interesting ones. Larry Ogunjobi. We sign up for 1 year. Offensive tackle. Sign him for $8.3 million. Guaranteed $8 million. Come to find out, the Buffalo Bills didn't know he's going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the 2025 season for performance enhancement drug violation. This is interesting because, to not disclose that, look, I know when we talk about Hoyt, who's going to be next, there is some money coming back to the Buffalo Bills for his violation. I don't know what I've heard about Ogunjobi yet, but 6 games. We could sign this man for 1 year, and he's getting. I hope we get some of that money back. But 6 games, he's not playing for us. Head scratcher. I don't know why the NFL or why his agent, why they're not supposed to, reveal these things. They knew about it. Someone knew about it. And according to Brandon Beane, they did not know about it at the time of signing. Jake, I have a hard time believing this, but what's your thoughts on this deal here?
Really disappointing right now. Was excited about it. It is only 6 games, but it's like, man, the contract is fully guaranteed, which kind of stings a little bit, and you're paying him $8 million. So, that is a position that is a need, right? And you are trying to bring someone in that is not only going to help Eddie Oliver, but someone that could also maybe even play a one tech, which Larry Ogunjobi did earlier on in his career, specifically in that 4-3 scheme, which the Bills technically, if we were to run 3 linebackers, it would be the 4-3 and not a base nickel, right? So to me, I was excited at first. I'm like, okay, this is a nice veteran signing, right? And a guy that can play both a 3 tech and a 1 tech. But then come to find out, this guy's going to be suspended for 6 games. Now, 6 regular season games, okay, fine. Just get me through at this point, as a Bills fan, as we're a little spoiled now, get me through the regular season, show me what we can do in the playoffs, right? So it'll be good to have him, hopefully, once the playoffs come around, right? But, man, like, it'd be nice to have that guy for the whole year instead of now you're losing him for 6 games. And, by the way, you still have to pay him his whole thing, his whole deal. And Brandon Beane still went ahead and went with that deal. Like, even, I guess it was found out after he was about to sign with the team, and then Brandon Beane still went ahead and signed him anyways.
Yeah, so I love that he's played in the AFC North his whole career. He's been with Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So he's played in a very physical division.
Yeah.
But and again, I think he can bring something nice. Let's see. You're saying would he be coming in for Oliver or Daquan Jones kind of position there where he's next to Oliver?
He could do both. It was interesting because he was in Pittsburgh's defense, which they run a 3-4, so he was almost like an end/tackle kind of position. Okay. But when he was in Cleveland and Cincinnati, he did often play in that one gap, sometimes even right over the center. And he would switch, kind of alternate between the 3 and the 1 tech. So he could do either or, which is a great thing to have.
So you like the deal? Did you say you like the signing? Love it?
I liked it at first. I like it a little less now just because of the suspension.
Yeah, I'm going to say dislike again. I'm supposed to stop saying hate. Dislike. All right, let's
call
go to
it
you,
neutral
Brett.
Right now.
Let's go to you, Brett.
I'm in agreement with Jake. I'm going to stay neutral on this one. The biggest reason why is the first 6 games of the season, you're more likely to play the guys that have familiarity on the defensive line. You're going to see Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, a mix of Joey Bosa in there, but you're probably going to see more AJ Epinesa. You add into the mix some plays with Larry Ogunjobi and other guys like Michael Hoyt in the mix in these situations. That's where you're supposed to gel as a team. Now, suspended for 6 games, the start of this process just gets delayed to week 7 to 12. These are the prime games where you're trying to develop into a playoff caliber team. I'm concerned with this now. You add into the mix, this is an $8.3 million deal that you have him for, fully guaranteed. You already lost my trust a little bit, Larry, on this move by not being honest with your GM and telling him, hey, listen, I have a suspension for 6 games. Let's renegotiate this contract down, bring it down to maybe $6.5 million. Lose out on $1.8 million. Okay, understand that. I'd be okay. I'm concerned now, but I'll guarantee you that this move will pay dividends for the Buffalo Bills in the future when they get into the playoffs. We needed somebody that could plug the middle of the field up, and that's what Larry Ogunjobi will do. He'll get into the backfield. He has some great plays. If you go on YouTube and you look up his plays with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he gets into the backfield, makes stops, but I am a little bit concerned by not being honest from the beginning. That's all you ask for from as an employer is for your employee to be honest. And you started off like this. You built a bad rap for yourself with the Buffalo Bills and the fan base too. So you have to earn our trust again. You have to show that we can believe in you and that you're going to make plays for the team. Otherwise, you're going to be one of those guys that we dislike. And I hope that doesn't work out for him. I hope he shows that in the playoffs he can play big and he can make a difference and lead us to that Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl that all of us are chasing as fans and as a team. So, Larry, if you're watching this, man, just show up in the playoffs and show that you learned your lesson and that you're going to take us to the next step. That's what I want from you.
You bring up a good point, Brett. I don't think they can practice with the team if they're suspended. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They cannot. They're suspended for the first 6 games of the season. Can't practice, can't do anything. You'll get to see him in the training camp and preseason, but once the first regular season game starts, it's actually a few days before that. He is barred from all activities regarding the Buffalo Bills for those 6 weeks. Cannot communicate with the team, cannot get their playbook, has to stay at home the whole entire time. So it sucks for the team. Now, is he going to be in football shape in 6 weeks? You're missing 6 weeks of training and doing everything there. So what is he going to do?
Yeah, for those saying they'll be fresh, that concerns me, right? Because they're trying to build chemistry with the team. They're not able to do that. Training camp is one thing, preseason's another, but regular seasons is a whole different thing. Regular season, that is. So I am concerned. Yes, they'll be fresh, but I don't know what level they'll be at, and especially will they understand our defense without having those 6 games, those 6 going into the film room after every game, maybe even getting, and I would expect these guys to be getting play time during those 6 games if they hadn't been suspended. So interesting stuff. And again, that one Beane didn't know about, but he likes him that much. He sees enough in him to say, you know what, I'm okay. I'm going to keep him for that. I'm good. I'm good. But I don't think they could have reneged on the deal. I don't know. There should be something, some policy in the NFL. If something's revealed after the signing that people knew about, I think the Bills should have an option to kind of pull back. Maybe they do. I don't know. Do you guys know any of that?
Supposedly. Sorry, Brett, but I did watch his press conference, and I'll say this: Ogunjobi did own up to it, to the media, and supposedly he had found out, I think, after he signed with the Bills, that he had a tainted, sample that came across or whatever. And he talked to Beane about it, and Beane was like, all right, well, we're still going to go ahead with the deal. We can't basically go back on it. And I don't think that is a possibility, but Brett, go ahead and say what were we going to say?
So there was multiple teams that were negotiating with Larry Ogunjobi when this situation was going on. I think that a couple of the teams were the Kansas City Chiefs, to be exact. But there's a few others that were playoff teams in the AFC that the Bills were fearing that could sign Larry Ogunjobi. I felt like Brandon Beane kind of panicked a little bit in this situation, said that, hey, listen, we'll take the deal. I don't want to lose out on this player. But for me, I'm a little concerned just because, you could have renegotiated that contract and brought it down a little bit to save you some money to get another guy that can be brought into the team.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Or at least some, hey, you're suspended now. So we're pulling back some of that guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Now the next gentleman here. So again, you guys are kind of neutral. I'm going to put that in the dislike section. And only because of we're paying him that much and we're not having him for the full season. The next guy, only Buffalo. Only Buffalo would have this luck.
Right?
Only the Buffalo Bills. Michael Hoyt, defensive end. We inked him for 3-year, $21 million, 13.4 guaranteed. He comes over from the Rams. I think he's played most of his career, if not all of it, as a Ram. And let me double check that. That is correct. He's been in the league 4 years now. And this one was a surprise. I'm like, who? Who the heck? And we're paying good money here. This is not like this is not a 1-year guy. This is 3 years. They're investing in him. And again, it's only 13.4 guaranteed. But still, I was surprised there, Jake. And I still don't know. I mean, I have his stats up here. He did play a full, and he started for the Rams in 2023, all 17 games. Had 6 sacks. I've read some good things about him, but what can you tell everyone about this man?
Well, I mean, he's got a great story. Canadian born, played in Canada. came into the NFL as an undrafted free agent, but played at Brown University. So Ivy League student, kind of cool. Love seeing stories like that. Buffalo Bills familiar with Ivy League guys. Ryan Fitzpatrick, no big deal. Workhorse guy that came in as a defensive tackle at 310 pounds. His coaches, once they saw just how fast he could actually move, supposedly he ran a 4.68, by the way, but once they actually saw game speed and how fast he could actually move, they're like, hey, why don't you lose like 40 pounds? So he did. And he got down to like 268-ish around there, 270-ish. And, he just continued to move farther outside on that defensive line. And it got to the point where he was essentially an off-ball linebacker. And the Rams still, because he had the strength and he was able to retain that, they were able to play around with him. He would play, in the one gap at times. He would play, as a wide 9. He'd play as a 5. He'd be all over the place. And it was almost like a joker on the defensive side of the ball for them. So they were putting this guy, in the A gap and then dropping him back in coverage at times. It was kind of cool to watch. If you turn on any tape of this kid from last year and the previous season, kind of fun to watch, so it gives you a little bit of versatility and creativity with this defense. At first, I didn't love the signing. Again, you see the numbers and it's like, boom, sticker shock. What's going on here? That's a lot of money to be paying basically a role player, right? But again, as we saw, the edge market is so inflated already when you really look at the deal. And now with it being $1.4 million less that we're going to actually have to owe him in general anyways. And with it essentially really only being a 2-year, $14 million deal, I think we did all right with the signing. Don't love that he's going to be suspended, but he was upfront about it initially with Beane. So we are already aware of that, and Beane decided to still go ahead and sign him. So I think the plan was for him to always be a rotational piece and more of like a guy that was going to be, you're going to be very creative with. So there wasn't as much hesitation to go ahead and sign him. Whereas Ogunjobi could have potentially been competing for that one tech spot to be the starting player next to Eddie Oliver, right? So I guess I like the signing. Again, just very disappointed with the fact that, we're losing another guy for 6 games right off the bat. Season hasn't even started.
That Buffalo curse kicking in.
But by the way, I mentioned Lorenzo Alexander earlier in the show.
Yeah.
This guy kind of reminds me of Lorenzo Alexander. Kind of similar.
Yeah.
A little bit faster, a lot faster.
I see the potential. I see the potential. He had, let's see here what he had in sacks last year. So last year he had 3 sacks. The year he started all 17 games, 6 sacks. He's also very good against the run as well. So I see the potential there. So I'm going to say I like the pick. And the money, like you said, when you look at it from a 3-year perspective, you're like, oh my goodness. But again, it's just $13 million guaranteed. 2 years, you could be out if he's not doing anything for you. But I really like the pick. Like Brett said earlier, with the Bosa signing and him, and then you got AJ Epinesa, you got Javon Solomon. Oh my goodness, dude, we got a lot of guys that can bring it on the edge, and we like to rotate. One of those guys is going to be a standout. Yeah. One of them is. Mark my words.
Yep.
Brett, let me throw it to you.
So initially, I was thinking that with the Bills getting both Joey Bosa and Michael Hoyt, I felt like AJ Epinesa was going to become expendable. They're going to trade him and move on. Now I'm kind of wondering, okay, what direction are the Bills trying to go in? Are they trying to keep AJ Epinesa, or are they looking to move on? I think that this is the move that concerns me. Like you mentioned, Mike and Jake, because of the initial 6-game suspension. But I think that in 2 years or 3 years, whatever the case may be, however long he stays in Buffalo, you're going to forget about this. He is a great player. He's somebody that can come in and take care of the run. He has a ton of tackles on him. I think he had 1 year, almost 80 tackles one season. But he's a guy that's just going to be a high motor type player. That's what Buffalo has needed, is that high motor type guy that can come in and make plays. And we've been missing it on that defensive line. This is the guy that I think is going to be the high motor to the guy that's the closer. So, I think about it in the baseball perspective. You have the setup guy for the closer. We now have that for the Buffalo Bills when he gets healthy, or not healthy, I shouldn't say, when he gets back from suspension. I'm concerned for the first 6 games, but you're going to see some familiarity. You're going to see guys like Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa pick up those snap counts. But the one thing that concerns me about this is the amount of snaps that guys like Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa are going to have to play over those first 6 games of the season. Are they going to affect them when it comes down to the playoffs? That's where I don't like this too. Is not only does this move for Larry Ogunjobi and for Joey Bosa affect the Bills, but it affects the players around him. And how is it going to hurt the team in general when it comes down to this?
Yeah, I don't think you meant Bosa.
Well, I'm saying in general, the amount of snaps that Bosa and Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa have to play. You're picking up the snap counts for plays that you thought that Michael Hoyt was going to be out there, or Larry Ogunjobi. Daquan Jones, he's older now. He has to play more snaps at the first 6 games of the season than he would have if he had Larry Ogunjobi out there on the field. I'm concerned about that because they're older. What if one of them gets hurt and you miss out on Greg Rousseau for the rest of the season, or Daquan Jones or Ed Oliver, for example, being hurt? How does that affect the team, and how does it affect the continuity of the team too when they do return to the team?
Yeah, definitely agree with you there, Brett. Puka, you're absolutely right. Puka the third. Season not over before it starts because of 2 suspended players, especially 2 suspended players that never played on our team. Right. You're 100% correct. I'm not so worried about that. I just want to make sure it just said that if they can't practice or get chemistry going, they're going to come into week 7 and not be fully where they would have been. However, I do think both are good signings and will pay off in the end. Let's see. Yes, Carter, right? Carter looked good last year at times.
Love Dwayne Carter.
Good things from him. I thought Javon Solomon looked really good when he got play time last year. I expect big things from him. So I think we'll be okay. I forgot. I mean, who else do we got there on the edge, guys, on the current roster right now?
That's, it's funny you say that. That is essentially it. We talked AJ Epinesa, but yeah, I mean, it's AJ Epinesa, Joey Bosa now, Greg Rousseau, Michael Hoyt, Javon Solomon. So we have 5 guys there. But it does beg the question, right? So going back to Cody's comment, said that T and Chase both got paid. Monster deals. He said those numbers could shift a little bit because Shefty and Rappaport have been surprisingly quiet on this matter. But it sounds like both of those receivers have been inked. Now it begs the question, do the Bengals have enough money to pay Trey Hendrickson? And if so, does this open up the trade market even more? They were demanding a lot for him, and teams were complaining because they were demanding too much. Does this loosen the reins a little bit? And should the Buffalo Bills go take a shot and try to trade for Trey Hendrickson? What do you think?
I would love it, Jake. Again, and I'm going to say, yeah, take a shot, because my initial response would be, I don't think we have enough money. But I said that last week, and we had enough money. So I don't know. I think not fully understanding what these GMs can do with their with how they work the cap, and heavy on the guaranteed money. It all hits you on the back end. I'd say sure, if we could, we should. But it'll be interesting, Jake. I totally agree.
I think it's dead in the water for the Bills, to be honest with you, just because we did sign Bosa. That was our home run signing.
Yep.
You're now going to either build up at that position through the draft with depth pieces, or maybe even potential starters in the future, or you're just going to ride it out with what we got. But, one thing I did say coming into this offseason was, at that defensive end position, I didn't want to keep playing the musical chairs. Like, I wanted 2 guys that were going to be on the field, like that 2014 roster where we had Mario Williams and Jerry Hughes, who played, 90% of the snaps at the defensive end position. That's why they put up those numbers. That's why they were wreaking havoc on quarterbacks. Like, that's what I wanted. And, with this Greg Rousseau extension and being for as much money as it was, that kind of made me feel good. Like, hey, maybe he's gonna be like on the field nonstop. He's not gonna be rotating in and out with like Von Miller and stuff like that, But now we go and we have this smorgasbord of DNs again, and it's like we're just gonna do what we did the previous, 3 seasons there. So that does concern me a bit, but I guess the answer to it also is, hey, it keeps you guys fresh. But if they're hot, then they're hot and keep them on the field, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, let's not forget too. I mean, John Robert bringing me back here again. Like I said, I want a DT, and I said
that's number one.
Yeah, I said DT first round.
Yes.
I said if the Bills pick any offensive players in the first 2, I'll be very upset. We got 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. Maybe one of them, but DT and DN. So there's your other guy. Yep. You get a stud there who can rotate in. Now you're taking that pressure off some of those guys. As long as the Bills are willing to pay him. Play him, and play him, but play him, right? Because we don't typically do that. But I think first rounder DT, he's going to be starting, if not getting a lot of snaps. And I think another defensive edge player, or defensive end for sure in the draft. So if you look at it that way, Beane has set us up well. Get some pieces, and he's got a plan for the draft. I do trust that, and that's why I know I'm going to be shocked in round 1 and round 2, and I won't be saying no. Why do we go after that guy anymore? I'm going to be like, all right, Beane, you know what you're doing. Let's go.
I think there's some other positions for the Buffalo Bills that they need to fill. I mean, especially losing out on Rasul Douglas, who's now a free agent. I think the Bills need to find somebody at cornerback. That's one of my biggest concerns right now. We do have some good depth pieces there that we picked up. We don't have that guy that's that I think is a real starter quality type player. I mean, I know that we brought back Dane Jackson. I don't know if we're going to talk about him or not. Yeah. Bringing him back, that's a great move. But still, I think we need a cornerback. I still think we need another linebacker to add to the mix. The defensive end position, I think, is pretty solid, but another defensive tackle would be great too. And also, Quentin Morris, he's now out for the 3rd tight end position. Do the Bills bring in another tight end here? So there's some positions that need to be filled. Also, maybe a safety to add to the mix. I know Derek Forrest is brought in, but another safety I would like to see there too. There's some areas that I think that Brandon Beane needs to really fix on this roster before you think about getting a guy like Trey Hendrickson in the mix and really taking over the salary cap position that we are in. And also, I'm going to throw out another position that we do need to figure out. We do have Jay Kamara on the roster for the punter position, but do the Bills bring in another punter in here too?
Would love to see a punter battle, baby. You know me.
Who needs a punter, Jay? Come on. Anybody can go kick a football and hold it.
Whoa.
Listen, we might just
be on the line.
I'm just going to say this. We might have Josh Allen just, throw punts instead.
Come on. Yeah, right? I feel like I can go out and kick the ball 40 yards, honestly. 40 and at my age. I mean, did not all of you as a kid, like even today, what was one of the fun things you like to practice out there? You kick field goals and you punt the ball. I'm just saying there'll be a punter there. I'm not worried about a punter at all, but I do agree with you, Brett. That's why I said I don't want an offensive player taken in the first 2 rounds. Defensive tackle, defensive end, cornerback. I'm down with all what you're saying right there, 100%. And Puka. So the question is, yes, we need a cornerback in this draft for sure.
I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to be the first one to say it on the channel. I'd be okay with a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to throw it out there. That's a big statement, but listen, we need maybe 1 or 2 more players before I'd say, okay, Josh Allen has the pieces around him now to cook. Okay. I think we're 1 piece away from being really good. He brings out the best in everybody, but there's a certain time when the talent around you needs to be a little bit better, and you need to bring somebody in that's more established and really can be feared on the field. I think that's one thing that Josh Allen needs to find now is somebody that can go out there and can make plays. A Malik Neighbors or a Justin Jefferson, even a CeeDee Lamb type style player. We need to find 1 more player like that on offense, and then I'd be happy. Amari Cooper was supposed to be that, didn't work out. Now we need to find another guy in there. And I don't know if Josh Palmer is that answer, but we need to find somebody else that can come in here and put some fear in the offense too.
What about Keon, man? What about Keon?
I like Keon. Don't get me wrong. Keon is he was a good pick, but still, I think he needs to develop a little bit more, and that's why I think you need to find somebody else, whether it's in free agency or in the draft, somebody that can come in and can make a little bit of some fear in the offense of the Buffalo Bills. Look at what happened when we went up against Baltimore and Houston. We didn't have that guy that was feared. Then we brought in Amari Cooper into the mix, added him there, and he was a little bit feared, but the numbers didn't work out. We still have the same guys around us. The Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer. Those guys are not really the feared guy. And I think we're missing that right now. We just need to find one more player to add to this mix, and then I'd be sold on what we've done so far.
And is that just a speed demon, like a freak of nature, just 9-route guru?
I know.
Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm not looking for that.
You're looking for like Calvin Johnson. You want like a guy.
I want a guy that can just take pressure off of Josh Allen. Somebody that he can trust and can just throw the ball to and make plays. That's what I want from him. It doesn't have to be a speedster. It doesn't have to be anything other than somebody that you see him on the field. You see Josh Allen rolling out to his right or left, and you say, oh, crap, this is the guy that we have to look out for on the field. That was Diggs back a few years ago. It was supposed to be Amari Cooper. We just don't have that guy there, that guy that's the it player. We have some good talent around Josh Allen, don't get me wrong, but we don't have that it guy yet.
Well, if the Bills were to take a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, you'll see me turn the camera off. I'll have to pause. I'll come back after I shed a few tears. Unless it is a game changer, like you said, Kenneth Grant's not there. Golden falls to us. I don't know, maybe, but again, I'd be shocked. The only reason, Brett, is because I don't think, you saw what happened last year, no matter who it was, even after we signed Amari Cooper, they just distribute the ball to everyone. And I expect Dalton Kincaid to have he better have a bigger role than he did last year. That man needs to show up this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's some it guys, like you're mentioning Khalil Shakir. He's supposed to be that it guy. But I still think that a guy like Isaiah Bond or a Matthew Golden, somebody in the mix there, Isaiah Bond is going to go later in the draft. Don't get me wrong. I know this is a guy that Jake loves too. But Matthew Golden, to me, or somebody like that, a Devontae Adams, being a free agent, I don't understand why we didn't go after somebody that's big name like that. We could have made it work with the numbers. It was only $27 million over 2 years. Don't understand why we didn't go after somebody that's a big name like that to put around Josh Allen. I mean, maybe we just don't want the diva mentality in Buffalo, and I get that, but I want somebody that can come in and get 9-10 catches a game, and you throw the ball to him and he makes the big plays that we need in Buffalo. But now you have guys like Khalil Shakir, who's supposed to be that 1,000-yard receiver for the team this year. I'm a little bit concerned if he gets to that 1,000 yards. And I think maybe the 800-yard mark is the peak of him.
So you think we'd be better off if we had a rebirth of not in terms of personality, but you want to bring back a guy like a Stephon Diggs,
somebody like
caliber.
That type of type of player, yes.
Yeah.
Not the diva mentality.
Right,
but
right.
Somebody that's on the field that Josh can count on. Yes, I agree with that. 100% that I think we should bring somebody like that into the mix.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair statement. Yeah.
It's fair. And John, thanks for reminding me. I was going to bring this gentleman's name up, but I couldn't think of the name. I was going to ask Jake. We do have Zach Davison signed, and I do like him. And that's why I think Morris was expendable this year. So let's see here. All right. Final 2 guys. We're going to make this quick. Dane Jackson coming back to Buffalo. I mean, he was with us. He's been in the league 5 years. He's been with us the first 4 years of his career, and then he went to Carolina. He's coming back. Again, he's cornerback, knows their system well. Not sure how he'll fit in or even if he'll make the team, but bringing him back 1 year, undisclosed. These next 2 guys I'm going to talk about are undisclosed. I don't see any numbers yet for Dane Jackson. Got to think it's on the cheap as well. And then I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on Dane. I'm okay with it. I mean, bring him back again. I don't know where he'll fit, or I think it's just more of a camp player.
I don't think he's a camp guy just because he knows the system, and I feel like he'll be like in that Jamarcus Ingram type role where if we need to have someone start in a pinch, he'll be the guy. He's a depth piece. I think he'll be on the roster, Mike. I actually do. I think he is, and he's young enough too. I think he's only 26. He's not that old. He might be older actually. He was 2020, so he might be like 28. But anyways, I think the fact that he already knows the system is really important. I know he was injured last year and things did not work out in Carolina, but when he was here in Buffalo, he was at least serviceable. Now, you cannot count on Dane Jackson being your CB2 heading into the regular season. That is right now, if you're talking most glaring need in terms of a starting position, it's probably that cornerback 2 position right now. But I will say I like the signing just because I feel like it is just a depth signing.
Yeah.
Fair. And they do give a lot of weight to guys that have played within the system and know the system well. So I like Dane when he was with Buffalo. And you're right. You're bringing me back to reality here. We don't have a lot at corner, especially with the trade of Kyer. Not that Kyer was going to do anything for us, but Kyer was traded. And so, yeah, that piece. And like you said, in a pinch, he could play.
So adding Dane Jackson into the mix, I believe is like a vet minimum type contract for him. But you also saved $2.5 million by trading Kyer Elam to the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a great situation for the Buffalo Bills. You add a depth piece that's an upgrade from your number 3 cornerback that you had on your roster, for outside cornerbacks there. I like the move. I think it's a good, solid depth piece, somebody that understands the defense of the Buffalo Bills and has familiarity not only with Damar Hamlin, but also has familiarity with other guys on the defensive line and linebacker room. I don't think he's going to start whatsoever. I think that he's going to be a guy that comes into camp as a depth role, but will play a big role on special teams for the Bills. I like it. I think it's a great, solid pickup. Somebody that has a lot of familiarity with Buffalo and can come in, like you mentioned, Jake, in a pinch in those situations and make plays. But I don't think he's going to be a starter. I'm really looking for the Bills in the draft to get somebody at the cornerback position in the first round or a wide receiver. I still think that the defensive line is solid enough to find somebody in the later rounds because the depth at defensive tackle is deep this year. So I'd like to see a cornerback, somebody that might fall in the draft. There's a couple of names. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but the guy from Michigan that missed the whole entire season. I want to say it's Will Johnson.
Will Johnson.
Yep. Him. I would love to see him slide down to Buffalo. I think that would be a really solid zone picker. Maybe the Bills move up in the draft and get him. I think
got a lot of picks, man.
We got a lot of fifth rounders here that we can trade. So I'd love to see them move up and get Will Johnson. I know that that's a flyer type pick, but I think that he really is the number 1 cornerback in this draft. Or maybe you stay put and you find a guy like JD Barron in the draft. That would be a good pickup for us. Some versatility too. He can play not only the cornerback position but safety. So I think if you plug in another player that can be that number 2 cornerback for the Bills, that this will be a home run signing for the team.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because right now I'm looking at the roster. We got Daquan Hardy, Corey Couch, Brandon Codrington, DeMarcus Ingram, Dane Jackson, Christian Benford, and Taron Johnson. So Puka, yeah, we definitely need to pick up either sign somebody who gets released later. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some guy, but it is concerning right now, cornerback position, especially depth.
Jake, let me ask you a question real quick. Is Tre'Davious White a free agent?
I believe he is. Yeah. I don't know what that deal entailed because he was traded. So I think he technically is. Let me confirm. No, actually, no, he's not. I think the Ravens took on his contract. So
I was
he's
just
still
curious.
with the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
I was just curious if he was a free agent. Maybe he gets released as a post June 1st move. That would be somebody that you could bring into the mix as a number 2 cornerback in play with a rookie that's there. Kind of like what we did before when we had a rookie in place and we had a veteran guy like Josh Norman in there that we can push for the number 2 cornerback position.
Yeah, sure. Puka, you're right. I mean, well, we do have a cornerback one, and it's Christian Benford, and still waiting to see if that guy actually gets extended, because that's not going to be cheap either. But yeah, I mean, just to at least have one CB1 on the roster, for the future, you probably have to look at the draft, because I don't think we're going to end up signing someone. I know the rumors were we're supposed to sign Asante Samuel Jr. I don't know what happened with that. There's still a possibility it could happen. Which I wouldn't mind that either. I think it'd be a good redemption for him to come here in Buffalo. But yeah, I think you go take a guy in the draft. Guy that I really like, actually, you could probably get in the second round. Darian Porter from Iowa State had a phenomenal combine, very comparable to Reek Woolen. He's like 6'3", 200 pounds. Guy runs well. He could play in zone schemes. He's a perfect fit for our defense, in my opinion. If we want to play a little bit of man, he's not afraid to get a little physical either. So, I would love that kid, Darian Porter. That's my go-to. Jahdae Barron as well, too, Brett. That would be my number 1 choice based on where we're selecting.
Yeah. I like the move too.
Yep.
All right, last guy, and I know John Roberts, you brought up some of the signings. Like we brought back Damar Hamlin on a good $3 million deal or $2 million. I don't know what it was. We're talking about just the new guys, new faces this year. But yes, we did bring back Damar Hamlin at safety. Last guy that we signed in the free agent, new face. Jake, you're gonna love this guy, Kendrick Green. 1 year, undisclosed money. Again, I can't find his money anywhere. Can't be too expensive. But the reason why I say you're gonna love him, it's a big 310-pound guard who played snaps at fullback for the Texans. Cody, 310-pound guy. You gotta love that. You're like, well, Reggie Gilliam is not 310 pounds, my boy, but dude, Kendrick Green, talk to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. He came in as a center and he started almost every game his rookie year.
Yep.
And then after that, he had a season-ending injury in 2022, goes to Houston, and really has been used sparingly. But versatility is a big factor with this guy, right? So, you look at athleticism, it's definitely there. It is a depth signing. There's nothing super special about this move, but I like it because the kid's still young and really good athlete. So I do like the signing. Yeah. But yes, bonus points because he can play fullback. For sure.
Imagine big 310-pounder back there.
Right.
Shades of the guy from Baltimore. What's his name again?
Pat Ricard. By the way, just signed a massive extension with them.
Yeah. No surprise there. All right. So listen, here's the final question. What's this?
Turnstiles. Desire to become green. That's funny. I like it, Cody. All right. Not great to hear, but all right.
Yeah, and Weston, yeah, I mean, he's talking about your Trey White. I'm with you there. I mean, I would, if Trey was available, I wouldn't have been excited to go sign him. That would have been my take. But, all right, now the answer, the question, the thumbnail. Did Brandon Beane crush free agency in 2025? Dick?
No.
Did he crush it?
No. I give him a B-. I think it was a solid free agency, just with some Band-Aids that we got to patch up on some wounds because of the suspensions. And I think the high expectations that we had, especially coming into free agency, freeing up the cap room with the release of Von Miller and then the re-signing or the extension of Josh Allen. And, the amount of cap room that we were going to have to play with. I know it wasn't a lot to begin with, but you just felt like there was going to be a little more. You're always left wanting more. And I feel like this has kind of been the case for the last few off seasons with the Bills. Brandon Beane has not made these big time splash signings, and that's not a bad thing. It just, I think you expected a little different, especially considering the fact that we went 13-4 last year, and it just seemed like we were maybe missing that one like game changing player at maybe the defensive end position per se, or at the D tackle position per se. And it, to me, it just feels like we added pieces. We didn't add a monster. We didn't add a guy that struck fear into that opposing team, like Brett says.
The only thing on that, Jink, I mean, we don't know what happens in these deals, right? Like,
You're
we
right.
had high expectations, right? I feel like Brandon Beane would have reached out and tried to make these deals. Like, for instance, Myles Garrett. Nobody got Myles Garrett. So that tells me, and there was a lot of teams with more cap space than the Buffalo Bills. That just tells me that deal was just outrageous that they were asking for. Crosby, I don't know. I feel like Crosby was happy in Las Vegas. Who wouldn't be?
He wanted to
happy
be in Vegas.
Right? He wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
Hendrickson says he wants to stay with the Bengals. I just feel like, Jake, sometimes it's easier for us to have these expectations. I think he did pretty good with what he was able to do.
No,
Like
that's definitely true. And that's why I say B-, right?
Yeah, B-. Joey Bosa, I think, was a really good signing. But everyone else, Josh Palmer, I think, could be a really good signing for us. The other ones are just pieces. Get us to that next level, and we'll see. So Jake, B- is fair, I think.
And it's not over. This is only after 1 week, guys.
Yeah,
so I'm talking like the off season's over.
Yeah.
We're just getting started.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So much more can happen. This is not over yet.
And then I think after teams release players, because there will be releases, and then there'll be some late signings as well. So there's lots more to come. But Brett, what are you grading them?
I'm giving him a solid B.
Okay.
I think that this is one of those, he did everything he could. Don't get me wrong, but there's still, like Jake mentioned, there's some glaring needs for the team. For me, I'm concerned about the cornerback position. I get that he added some depth there, but we still need a solid number 2 cornerback. We played this musical chairs type style over the past few years with the cornerback position. I want to lock it up. I want the secondary locked up completely. I still feel like with DeMar Hamlin in the mix at that safety position, I know that Cole Bishop is going to be blossomed into that starting role soon. I still think that, like you mentioned, Jake, there's just guys there, but we don't have that it factor. Jake, Harrison Smith was on the board for a week, solid, and we didn't go after Harrison Smith. That shocks me there. Okay. Asante Samuel, after a week, has been on the board. We still haven't gone after him. There's guys that are in the mix that we could go after. Maybe the market's just a little high and we're looking for it to go down a little bit, but I want to see another it player in there. The Joey Bosa pick, I loved it. I think that's a solid it guy that could develop into an it guy, I should say. But we're still missing one more. I want to see one more on defense, and then I'd say, okay, he's hit the nail in the coffin here. He has risen again, I should say. But on 316, I'm going to say Brandon Beane has not risen.
Okay.
Boy, okay. Love it. PFF gave Beane an A+.
Wow.
I'm out there with Big Al. I'm going to give him a B+, A-. And the reason I'm saying that is because I have to think he did everything he could. And with the players that he's brought on, I see potential. And I see, again, with the Bills' rotation on the defensive side, I can see why he brought these players in. And I do think they're going to make a big play and draft. And like you said, Jake, there's still more to come. There's still more signings that are going to happen. Something's going to come down. Something's going to come down a little bit later on, and we're going to be like, there it is. There's that corner that we
have 10 draft picks too.
And exactly. And
it's a lot.
We've done extremely well with corners in the draft. And Christian Benford was a 6th rounder. So we've done extremely well with corners in the draft. So we'll see. I give him a B+, maybe A-. I'd love to hear how everyone else gives him a grade. No one's given him a bad grade yet. So cool. If our friend Top Gun call sign Cooler was on here. Love to see what he would be saying.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
Wait, we're gonna see the comments tomorrow flying in.
Yeah.
He's gonna go F minus.
F minus. Huh?
He's gonna say the facility is or the team traveling to negotiate was not good. That's what he's gonna say.
Yeah. I do. So last question. We already said he didn't crush it, but B minus, B plus, A minus, pretty damn good. I mean, I don't know what you consider crushing it. You'd have to be an A plus. I don't think it was, but to me, an A or above would have been he crushed it. But here's the last question of the night for you guys and for everyone in the channel. Is this the best free agency that Beane has had since he's been the GM for the Buffalo Bills? I'll start with you, Jake.
It's a good question. And it took me back to the Stephon Diggs year, right? Because you think 2020, outside of Stephon Diggs, who else did we really get? And Stephon Diggs was a trade. That wasn't a free agency signing. So it might be up there. It really is. Like, I'm trying to think of other free agency years. And none are really sticking out to me where it's like, wow, that really crushed it.
So, Jake, I'll bring up something real quick and say the year that I was going to say was 2017, but he wasn't the GM until May of 2017. Right. So, Doug Whaley was the GM of the Buffalo Bills when they signed Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer.
Exactly.
Think about that. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to put it up there. I'm not going to lie. I think that it's solid, the pieces that he's built on, but I want to see him finish it off, play the cards that you have in the table. And, I'm going to say it because we're in the 11 o'clock hour, or I'm sorry, the 12 o'clock hour almost, now. And I know it's the East Coast, or I'm sorry, the East Coast is later, but the West Coast is getting late. Beane needs to put his big boy pants on and make a ballsy move here. Okay, he needs to go after some more pieces. He's got the chess pieces in place, but let's play with fire here and let's start building on this team and making it better. I like what he's done so far. It's only 1 week, like you mentioned. I'm getting excited and being a fan and everything. My passion for the team comes out quite a bit, but I want to see him make a couple more splash picks here and fill out this roster the way that we really want him to.
I think I actually have an answer for you too, by the way. I was just thinking about this. I would have to say, because I'm thinking back like receivers, right? So I'd have to say 2019 because that's when we signed Cole Beasley. I think Mitch Morse too, actually.
Yeah.
So I would probably say 2019 was his best year. So there's my answer.
Was 19 with John Brown too?
I think John Brown was in that.
Was it 18 or 19 that we had Brown?
Brown, I believe, was in 20. We had him in 2018, I think.
Yeah, he was. He had to have been because he was in that Texans playoff. Or no, that was 2019.
Yeah.
No, 2019. You're right. 2019 for John Brown. Yeah. Because it was the 2019 season going in. Yeah. So 2019, we got John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Mitch Morse. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you got to say, and again, I think this is up there and it could exceed. We don't know yet, right? You got to wait at least a year to see how these things pan out. But it has the potential to be as good as 2019 or maybe better, or it has potential to be worse. I think when you think back, it's hard to think about free agents like you think about the Von Miller signing. That thing would have, if Von had done what we expected, you probably would have said that year just because of Von Miller. And I don't know who else we brought in that year, but just Von Miller alone, if he had been able to do what we were hoping, he would have probably said that year. But this year has the potential. Everyone's giving him good grades. This may be the best yet. We'll see. I'd love to hear what anyone in the channel thinks, and especially on the rewatch. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. So, everybody, I think we got to call it a night. It's been a long hour and 40. Man, I thought we'd have time to go over some of the other guys, and here we are. We covered 10 guys. 10 guys. Hour and 40 minutes. Love it. Couldn't do it without you guys in the chat. And again, if you're new to the channel, please drop a nickel on that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. And if you're here watching and if you stayed around for at least a few minutes, smash that like button. Give us a little bit of credit. And hey, if you didn't like it, smash that down thumb as well. I mean, I hate to see those, but they come in. And guess what? We like those. It helps us. It's like, all right, we did something wrong. Let's go check out what we might have missed. So we appreciate it. And throw those in the comments on the rewatch. Again, how you thought Beane did. Did he crush it? Is this his best yet? I guess you're going to have to wait to find out. Because Jake, come next year, well, if at least 3 or 4 of these guys go off and become a big potential or big reason why we get to the next level, you definitely would say this was his best yet.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
All right, boys, let's close it out. I hear a dog barking. I feel like dogs got to go outside real quick. So I'm going to say thank you, Brett, for joining us. It's great to have you back.
Appreciate it, brother.
Great as always. And the rest of you out in the chat, have a good one. Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.